Spirit describes his experience in one of the hells. We are reading the Paget Messages channeled by Jesus and his disciples by James Paget about 100 years ago, 1914 to 1923. This is volume 2, available on Amazon, and free PDFs are available at divinelove.org. This message is from a spirit stuck in the hells, though it does have a happy ending, so watch part 2. The previous message was from Nero, a Roman emperor who was stuck in the hells for centuries, I believe he said, but he did get out and become an angel. So you can get out of the hells, according to these spirits who have channeled 4 volumes through James Paget. And here's the message. I am a spirit who cannot tell you of the joys of heaven, but I can describe the horrors of hell. For just as these other spirits describe to you their homes of beauty and happiness, I can describe my home of ugliness and torment. Do you wish me to do so? Well, know then that when I lived on earth, I was a man of very considerable intellectual powers and acquirements, and also of an intense animal nature, so much so that it overcame my judgment and what moral qualities I had, and I became at last a slave to my appetites, which were varied, especially my appetite for drink. I had many friends of position, social and otherwise, and I was considered a brilliant newspaper writer and had access to the inner political circles that were then in control of the government. My weakness, or rather the effect of the strength of my animal nature, was known to many of my friends, and they in many ways tried to help me and rescue me from my evil and destructive course of living. And at times I would succeed in reforming my conduct, but alas, not for any great length of time, when I would again relapse into my deplorable habits and become the controlled victim of my destroying appetites. Of course, human friendship and sympathy had their limits, and finally my friends gave me up as lost and past redemption. And I surely and quickly sunk lower and lower in my moral condition, and at last died a drunkard, unwept and unsung, except for the evil that I had done. It was undoubtedly a relief to my friends and acquaintances when I passed over and forever relieved them of the shadow of my presence and the ghost of what I had been. But such was my end, and when I came to the spirit world, I found that I still was deserted by friends who had become spirits before me, except some who liked the flowing bowl as I did on earth, and who were inhabitants of the unattractive place that I found myself in when my habitation became fixed. I never, when on earth, thought much of the future life, except to convince myself that there was no hell, and if there was a God, he was not bothered about me, a mere man of many millions. But oh, the fatal mistake, and the unexpected realization of the fact that there is a hell. Whether there is a God, I don't know, for I have never seen him or felt his influence. But since I came to you tonight and heard the messages of those 2 spirits who described their wonderful homes and their condition of happiness, and ascribed them all to the kindness and care of God, I have commenced to think that there may be a God, and that my mistake was greater than I have heretofore realized. But this is a digression from what I started out to write. That there is a hell, I know to my sorrow and sufferings, for I have been the occupant of one for these many years, and it is always the same place of horrors and darkness, except sometimes it is lighted by the flame of lurid light that comes from the anger and sufferings of some unfortunate like myself. In this hell of mine, and there are many like it, instead of beautiful homes as the other spirits described, we have dirty, rotten hovels, all crooked and decayed, with all the foul smells of a charnel house 10 times intensified, and instead of beautiful lawns and green meadows and leafy woods filled with musical birds making the echoes ring with their songs, we have barren wastes and holes of darkness and gloom, and the cries and cursings of spirits of damnation without hope. And instead of living, silvery waters, we have stagnant pools filled with all kinds of repulsive reptiles and vermin, and smells of inexpressible, nauseating stinks. I tell you that these are all real and not creatures of the imagination or the outflowing of bitter recollections. And as for love, it has never shown its humanizing face in all the years that I have been here. Only cursings and hatred and bitter scathings and imprecations and grinning spirits with their witch like cacklings. No rest, no hope, no kind words or ministering hand to wipe away the scalding tears which so often flow in mighty volumes. No, hell is real and hell is here. So I'm going to make a part 2 of this message as it is pretty long, but he does have a happy ending and some brighter spirits come to him to help him. So stay tuned for part 2.